Let's stay on this a while longer. Let's get onto the phone line and speak to Professor Godfred Bokpin. Professor Bokpin is a lecturer at the University of Ghana. Prof, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Star.
Good morning, and good morning to our cherished listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Morning Star this morning. You are someone who has always talked about how our economy is run, how we are borrowing excessively, how fundamentally the structure of our economy is problematic, and we are going nowhere if we continue like this. Do you feel vindicated given what Kwaku Kwarteng has said about the economy being run like a Ponzi scheme?
Not to sound like trying to profit from it or take credit. No, that's not the goal. But it's comforting that there's convergence points. We are all coming to a certain realization. Even if it's a little too late, it's good for Ghana. That is not the only thing. If you look at across the two main political parties today in the run-up to the December election, you can see that some way, somehow, they are responding to some of these sentiments that are being shared. They are responding. The two main political parties, even including the independent Alan Tremantin, they are promising lean government of varying levels and all of that. So I think that we need to move our democracy forward. And as an academic, our job is to look at the data and speak to the data. It is not always that we get it right. It's not always. But on the average, if you are driven by the data, of course, in terms of the interpretation you bring to bear may reflect political lineage or something, but largely, if we don't acknowledge it now, it doesn't take away the fact that this is the case. Yeah, and a lot of the things that Honorable Kwaku Kwarteng has said, these are real. These are things happening. And the earlier we admit, not only that we admit, but we put in place the right mechanisms to make sure that this country is governed well, that democratic dividend trickles down to the ordinary Ghanaian. Yes. So far, if you look at what Honorable Kwaku Kwarteng has said, and you look at the totality of how we have managed this economy, those who have actually benefited from this are just the politicians and the elites. Growth, development, as we say, has not trickled down to the ordinary Ghanaian. Not at all. So even when, and it's also very important that it's coming at this time, that government is celebrating recovery. This recovery is not people-focused. This is not a recovery that is carrying Ghanaians along. Okay, so, and it's a very pricey recovery, very expensive. Not any time in our history did we have to go through something like this. Of course, we've had challenges of varying degrees. We've always tried to resolve that through fiscal consolidation, largely. Okay, through fiscal consolidation. But now we are at a stage where fiscal consolidation is no longer enough. Now we have to do debt restructuring. Okay, and very expensive to the extent that even pensioners have to put it at Ministry of Finance. I mean, you can imagine taking citizens of that age group through that. It's even difficult to sit down to conceptualize. But this is what we've done to one another. And I believe that when you do the diagnosis, you will see abuse. You will see abuse. So I feel that we should say it a bit more. We should let every Ghanaian know and every politician know that yesterday is not going to be the same as tomorrow. Ghanaians are becoming increasingly assertive. We are sharing the data with Ghanaians. It's getting to the politicians. It's getting to the MPs. And look, let me tell you this. In the event that the MPP loses the election, right, you will hear many of these things that Kwaku Kwarteng has started saying. When they do their own internal analysis and all of that, they will validate many of the things Kwaku Kwarteng has said now. Let's say now he's a prophet. You will see, because these things, there are many people in the MPP have shared similar positions, and even including floating voters in the middle class. Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that it's not peculiar to one party. It's not peculiar to one party.
And that's the point that Kwaku Kwarteng also seeks to make, that this is something which has transcended different governments, that have come into office. But are we seeing some doing it more than others?
Yes, that is where the difference is. You see marginality. Yeah. We can see it. It's pervasive, but again, you can also see variation in terms of magnitude. And when it comes to it's just that the current government has taken it to another level. Okay. And
when you say they've taken it to another level, what do you mean?
Look, in the history of our country, no government, and that is to be expected, no government has had the kind of resources this government has presided over. In addition, the level of borrowing they have done, even in nominal terms. So, but in principle, I teach finance. There is nothing wrong, principally, with borrowing. Governments borrow, individuals borrow, firms borrow. There's conventional wisdom in borrowing to expand growth. Look, before did it. Let me give you a little bit of perspective here.
Right.
In 2006, when Ghana completed HAPIC, Heavily Indebted Poor Country Initiative, in 2004, and we finished the Multilateral Debt Relief Initiative in 2006, our debt to GDP ratio came down to less than 30%, around 26%. At that time, we were under the IMF Poverty and Growth Facility, a program. And Kufuor said, you know what, we had fiscal space. We should be able to grow based on how we utilize this fiscal space rather than being constrained under an IMF-supported program. So what did Kufuor's government do? They decided to file for divorce from the IMF. And this divorce was granted in 2006. On the back of that, what was the reason? The reason was that we could inject growth through external debt financing because we have fiscal space. Debt to GDP ratio 26%. So we did the first Eurobond in 2007. But you see, because we didn't have the right strategy in managing our debt and investing those funds prudently, it wasn't long, and we made a U-turn in 2009. And since then, it's been very characteristic. So you see, US, Japan, UK, they all borrow. Once you run a budget deficit, it's an indication of the borrowing requirement. And there's nothing wrong principally with fiscal deficit. Beyond a certain level, the source of financing and the triggers is what makes it an issue. So for instance, if we need to construct roads today and we don't have the money through tax revenue, we can actually go and borrow and construct those roads. Do you get a point? Yeah. And once we do that, you are enhancing the cash flow generation capacity of the economy. People will go to get work early, productivity would increase, and more growth will be generated. Then you can also get more tax revenue and pay back those debts. But this is where the issue is. When we have gone for these expensive debts, we don't invest them prudently. If Ghana government tells you the cost of 1 kilometer road is amazing, apart from that, those roads don't last. The bulk of the borrowing also doesn't go to enhancing the infrastructure of the country or the cash flow generation capacity of the country. It goes into consumption. Okay, many of them full of corruption. Then take this also. Even the portion that we allocate to capital investment, that must go through competitive tendering. That should benefit Ghanaians and with greater efficiency. We do it through restricted and sole sourcing. So between 2012 and 2021, again from the Auditor General's report, you can check another data, approximately 85% of all big-ticket government procurement were done through restricted and sole source across the two main political parties. But of course, you see marginality, that this government has taken it to a higher level. In fact, they've actually turned this economy into a procurement economy. And they are the ultimate beneficiaries. It's not for the common good. So if you continue like this, it will just take a crisis, a shock like COVID and Russia-Ukraine to expose you. That's all. So this crisis is not a cause. It only magnified the existing vulnerabilities they have created. So it's good that the COVID happened. It's good Russia-Ukraine happened. So it strips us off the propaganda of the economy. Now the reality is in front of us.
So moving forward, what are the steps that we need to begin to take, to turn this around? Kwaku Kwarteng says that if the NPP wants to break the 8, they would have to take a look at this, and they'll have to stop it. But we have, barely 4 months, 5 months to an election, and he's now, mentioning some of these things.
Yeah, let me tell you one thing. Probably all the flag bearers, especially the NDC and also the NPP, probably those who have the chance of governing this country from 2025 should bear in mind that there are so many people who have surrounded them, not for the common good. They are waiting for them to come to power and they offload their lifestyle on the state. I'm expecting the flag bearer of the NDC to be wiser now than before. It's good for him, it's good for Ghana. I'm expecting the same thing from the NPP flag bearer, but the starting point is that if you look at the economic fundamentals, no government that will be formed from 2025 should have more than 40 ministers. We cannot bear it. We cannot sustain it. That is the starting point. The political parties should make that commitment. I've heard some of them say they will not govern with more than 60. 60 is too many. Let me tell you something. We need something drastic that can generate confidence in our economy. From the Afro Barometer, from CDB, they are telling us that 9 out of every 10 Ghanaians believe that this economy is heading in the wrong direction. If you have that statistics, there is no way you can manage a stable exchange rate. The central bank will struggle because people don't believe in the direction of the economy. So when it happens that way, if the president tells me to look up for my safety, I'll look down first. Okay, so everybody is trying to see how they can insulate themselves from the harmful effect of what is going on and all of that. And because of that, people are not trading their dollars. They are keeping it. Any inflows out there, they want to swallow it. So there's no confidence in the economy. It's as though there's no leader in the country. It's as simple as that. Okay? Each one for himself and maybe God for us all. So that's what is happening. So lean government. First, the president from 2025 must demonstrate credible leadership. What Ghanaians need right now is credible leadership on the table, that governance support, that yes, this is the way we are going. We believe in that. It's very important. You see, it will help in the stability of the currency. If you see, okay, so you listen to what the governor of Bank of Ghana was saying a couple of days ago. That they've put in place everything that they think should be in place. But sentiments, negative sentiments, and that is right. You know why? When we say managing the economy, there's the technical economy on the ground, then there's also the imaginary economy in people's minds. Managing the economy is more about managing the expectations of the people about the economy. So when you are positioning monetary policy, it's more to anchor inflationary expectations. Inflationary expectations. Because if you are unable to anchor that appropriately, it will crystallize into higher inflation. That's what will happen. So we need that, because that will not, you won't get that confidence, you won't get positive sentiment just by change in government. No, we need credible leadership on the table. Okay, should I refer you to what is happening in Benin? Take a look at what is happening in Benin, a tiny country called Benin. When African countries lost market access, from the first quarter of this year, only three countries have gone to the international capital market. Who they are? Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Kenya has also gone. Ghana, we've been locked out. The gateway to Africa, we are nowhere to be found. Oh, I don't want to talk about Burkina Faso, a military leader. So see what leadership can galvanize. Oh, did you see the election outcome in Rwanda? It looks as though there was no election. The Africans have a way of appreciating leadership. We are not that bad, though. When we see leadership, we can see it. When we see leadership, we can see it. So Ghanaians are not ungrateful. Africans are not ungrateful. No. Cote d'Ivoire, their president, Ouattara, decided to go for a third term. Oh, they voted for him. You mark it or no, assuming our current president says, oh, I want to go for a third term. You see what will happen.
There'll be chaos.
Okay, so it's down to leadership. It's not for nothing we are told in our local language that fish rot from the head. It's not for nothing. That fish rot from the head. It's not for nothing.
Professor Godfred Bokpin, I'm grateful that you've spoken to us this morning here on the Morning Star.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you too. Professor Godfred Bokpin is with the University of Ghana. He teaches finance at the business school, and he's been speaking to us here on the Morning Star.